Have you ever wondered just how safe the places we trust with our children really are? It's unsettling, isn't it? Handing over our most precious loved ones, expecting them to be safe, nurtured, and cared for. But what if I told you that this trust has been broken in ways far more terrifying than you could ever imagine? In the 1980s, over 100 daycare centers across the U.S. were implicated in some of the most disturbing scandals you've probably never heard about. Ritualistic abuse, right within the walls of places meant to protect our children. And one of the most horrifying cases happened in the heart of a real-life community, one that could have been just like yours. Daycares are vital parts of our society. Parents leave their kids there each day, trusting these institutions to provide care, love, and protection. But what happens when this trust is shattered in the worst possible way? What if something sinister is taking place behind closed doors? Today, we're diving into a scandal so disturbing that it shook an entire community to its core. A story that reveals what happens when the unimaginable becomes real. Buckle up, because what you're about to hear may change the way you look at daycare centers forever. It was just another daycare in the middle of a quiet, unassuming town, known as the McMartin Preschool, nothing out of the ordinary. For years, families in the area praised it. It had a strong reputation, one built on trust. The place was spotless, filled with colorful murals and cheerful laughter. Parents felt at ease as they dropped their children off each day, confident they were leaving them in good hands. But slowly, whispers began to ripple through the community. At first, they were just rumors, easily dismissed as gossip. A child here or there would come home acting strangely and talking about things that didn't make sense. Nightmares became more frequent. Parents exchanged uneasy glances but assured themselves it was probably nothing. Kids have wild imaginations, right? Then, the stories started to line up. Unsettling patterns began to emerge. Children who had never spoken to one another began describing the same strange events. Symbols that shouldn't have meant anything to a 3-year-old were being drawn in crayon, and words that chilled parents to the bone began surfacing. Games they couldn't understand. Activities that were far from ordinary. That's when some parents started to feel it, that gnawing sense of dread deep in their gut that told them something wasn't right. One mother noticed her daughter became withdrawn, almost as if she was afraid of something she couldn't name. She had asked her child about daycare, expecting to hear about snack time and toys. Instead, her daughter mentioned the bad room. No one knew what it meant. At least, not yet. The turning point came when a former daycare employee who had left under suspicious circumstances blew the lid off everything. This wasn't just any daycare. According to this whistleblower, dark rituals were happening behind closed doors. The authorities were skeptical at first. Who could believe such outrageous claims? But as they began to investigate, the horrors of what they uncovered left them reeling. Raids on the daycare revealed disturbing evidence. Hidden rooms, strange paraphernalia, and symbols that seemed to have no place in a facility meant for children. Witnesses came forward, both employees and children, each painting a chilling picture of what had been happening inside. The daycare that had once been a place of safety had become the setting for unspeakable acts. Ritualistic abuse, bizarre ceremonies, and dark practices beyond anyone's imagination had taken root here. Parents were outraged, unable to comprehend how this could have gone unnoticed for so long. Law enforcement officers were sickened by the details. The media descended, turning the quiet town into a national headline. This wasn't just a scandal. It was a nightmare. As more families came forward, the scale of the abuse began to unfold, and the community was left in shock, grappling with the knowledge that something this evil had been happening in their midst. In the weeks and months that followed, the town was consumed by anger and fear. Families demanded answers. Investigations turned into lawsuits. The courtroom became a battleground, with the accused standing trial and witnesses recounting horrifying details that made the public's skin crawl. Some of those involved were convicted, while others faded into the shadows, their guilt uncertain but their reputations forever tainted. The legal battles dragged on, but the damage was done. The emotional and psychological scars left on the children and their families were deep. Some parents withdrew their children from daycare entirely, unable to trust again. The scandal sparked widespread changes in how daycare centers were regulated, with new policies put in place to prevent anything like this from happening again. Nationwide, daycare facilities were under scrutiny like never before, and the fear that had gripped this one small town began to spread. The media frenzy may have died down, but for the families involved, the nightmare never indeed ended. The trauma lingered, and so did the questions. How could something like this have been hidden for so long? How many other places, just like this one, might be harboring similar horrors? As the dust settled, one thing became clear. This scandal was a harsh reminder of the vulnerability of children and the importance of vigilance. Daycares, places meant to protect and nurture, had become a breeding ground for something evil. It forced parents, officials, and society as a whole to rethink how we safeguard our children. Strict regulations were put into place, but even now the question remains: can we ever honestly know what happens behind closed doors? This scandal taught us that complacency is dangerous. Open communication, thorough background checks, and a constant watchful eye are not just recommended, they're essential. We owe it to our children to ensure their safety, no matter the cost. The memory of what happened still haunts the town, serving as a grim reminder that even in the most trusted places, darkness can hide in plain sight. And so, we're left with a chilling reminder that darkness can creep into the most innocent of places, where we least expect it, where we should feel safest. The truth is, we may never know the full extent of what went on behind those daycare doors. Some things remain hidden in the shadows, locked away by fear, denial, and time. The families affected will always carry the scars, and the question lingers: how many other places like this exist, unnoticed, lurking just beneath the surface? It makes you wonder, could something like this be happening right now, closer than you think? What would you do if it was? But here's the important part. What could have been done to stop this sooner? What signs were missed? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. How do you think this could have been prevented, and what steps should we take to protect the ones who matter most? If you found this story unsettling, you're not alone. There are more untold stories, more mysteries that defy explanation, and more horrors hiding in plain sight. So, if you're ready to uncover even more dark truths, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned. And don't forget to check out our other videos on child safety and unsolved mysteries. You never know what secrets they might reveal. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the scariest things are the ones we never see coming.